Whenever you use an iron, make sure there is always baking parchment between the iron and the fabric. Fabric that is uncreased is easier to screen print on. Hold your tape using your index fingers and thumbs and pull the tape so it is nice and tight. The tape needs to be placed so it is going up the frame and down onto the mesh. Brown sticky tape is used for taping up the open mesh between the stencil and the screen frame. The tape also masks off the border between the image and the screen frame so ink doesn't slip through the open mesh. Mask the edges of the screen in order to create a shape around the figure. Stuck directly to the underside of the screen, they can be used to make stripes, rectangles, grids, and other hard-edged shapes. They can be torn into long strips or into small pieces to create raggedy edges and textural speckles. I created a silhouette shape of a woman cut out from a piece of acetate. If you want to make your figure using acetate, keep in mind the dimensions of the printing area of your screen. Paper stencils can only be used once and tend to disintegrate when removed from the screen when cleaning. The image to be traced onto the acetate needs to be taped to it with masking tape so it doesn't move. Once the image and the acetate are held together tightly, begin tracing the image onto the acetate with a black marker pen. Remove the masking tape after you have traced the whole figure. Stick one strip of double-sided tape over your drawing, making sure it covers the whole figure. Flip your acetate over and use a pair of scissors to cut around the black outline. Remove the shiny side of the double-sided sticky tape. Next, place the screen face down with the figure positioned within the tape frame on the screen. Apart from sticking fabrics to the print table with table gum, the most efficient way to attach fabrics to the table for printing is to pin them to a backing cloth. Backing cloths or bleed sheets can be stapled or pinned onto the print table rather than being stuck with table gum. They must sit firmly on the print surface and not move or wrinkle during the printing process. Once they become dirty or dye speckled so that clean fabrics might get spoiled, take them off and wash them. They can be washed and reused time and time again. Not all the dye or ink will come out, but once washed, whatever remains will not affect any new printing done on top of them. Smaller scale printers tend to use backing cloths or bleed sheets rather than attaching fabrics directly to the table. The pin heads must face the edges of the fabric with the points facing inwards towards the middle of the fabric. If not pinned like this, they will not stay in place and cannot hold the fabric still and taut, leaving it likely to pull away from the table during printing. If fabrics move during the printing, it will be virtually impossible to achieve a good quality print. The prints will tend to smudge and bleed around the edges. Loose fabrics will also stick to the screen, then flop onto themselves. Attaching them to the table securely is worth every second of time that it takes. Most importantly, the pins must lie still and as flat as possible. Any pin sticking out will rip a hole in your mesh screen. On bigger pieces of fabric, you should start pinning from the middle. On smaller pieces of fabric, this is not essential. When printing sample-size pieces, it is more efficient to pin as many as you think you might work on in that session. That way, when you are busy printing away and an idea pops into your head, you don't waste time pinning extra fabric down whilst the screen dries and blocks. Clamp the screen firmly in the hinges so the entire screen is resting on the print table with some extra room around it. Make sure the tape is flattened using the tips of your fingers. Firstly, keep hair, scarves, and dangling jewellery out of the way. They have a habit of accidentally flopping down onto the screen and then transferring whatever you are printing with to your clothes, hands, and everywhere else. Wear a fabric apron that you can wipe your hands on if they get dirty. Have rags, newsprint for blotting, masking tape, weights to hold the screen, props to prop it up between prints, and anything else you need easily to hand. Put the print medium in one end of the screen without allowing any of it to run into the stencil. Rubber-bladed spatulas normally used for cake making are excellent as they don't harm the screen. Make sure you have plenty of whatever medium you are printing with. The amount of medium you need varies depending on whether you will be printing small areas and fine lines or larger areas of flat colour or texture. Setting aside a stash of newspaper or newsprint is useful when you need to do some test prints. Coat the rubber part of your squeegee with ink. This is so the squeegee slides really easily across the screen as you pull it. If the squeegee is dry in one place, as you drag it across your screen, your pressure won't be even at all times. Have a squeegee that is slightly wider than the image you intend to print. Smaller screens are easier to handle. It is quite easy to hold it still with one hand while pulling the squeegee with the other. If you are happy with the test print and there aren't any issues showing up, proceed to flood your screen ready for your first print. To flood your screen, push the squeegee away from you at an angle of 45 degrees approximately. Lift the screen from the fabric to reveal the print. Pick it up by the corners, or, if it is too big to handle on your own, get someone else to help you. I noticed a small bead of ink appeared out of nowhere after I checked my print. Therefore, I decided to do another one. Any excess should be returned to the pot once the print run is over.
It can all be used again.
You could also add some appliqué, colour-coordinated patterned fabric.